Good evening, everyone. It's Deputy Mayor Gary Kosovich sitting in for the Mayor, David McMullen, tonight. I declare the agenda briefing forum of the 16th of April 2024 held in Council Chambers at Level 2, 388 Hay Street, Subiaco, open at 5:30. I welcome councillors, staff, the media and members of the community. On behalf of the City of Subiaco, I acknowledge the Whadjuk Noongar people as the traditional custodians of the area. We recognise their cultural connection to the land and waterways of Subiaco and their continuing contribution to our city. We pay respect to their elders, past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Right, attendances and apologies. I believe we have only the Mayor absent tonight, and we have Councillor White and Councillor Powell zooming in. We have all the executive leadership team here, together with the CEO, Mr. Cameron. Are there any apologies? That is no apologies. Leave of absence again is Mayor McMullen. Disclosure of interest. Are there any disclosures of interest? No disclosures of interest. Approved deputations. There are none. Announcements by the presiding member. I have no announcements tonight. Moving on to 6, officer reports for discussion only. That's obviously with questions in relation to the matters before us. And I start with item C1, that is the draft Daglish Precinct Local Heritage Survey, and I open it up to the floor for questions. There are no questions. I move to item C2, which is the capital project budget adjustment. Are there any questions? No questions. Moving on to... Sorry? Okay. Okay, there is a question from Councillor Powell. Councillor Powell. Apologies, Councillor White.
No, I didn't put my hand up.
Thank you, Simon. Rick, can you hear us? Councillor Powell? Oh, he's frozen.
I can hear you. It's very crackly, but I can hear you.
Thank you, Rick. Can you? You've got a question you'd like to put, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Looks like we've got too many technical problems to take that question. We'll come back to that. And I'll move on to C3, awarding of the tender, A/7322, drainage infrastructure upgrade and maintenance. Are there any questions? No questions. I'm moving on to Councillor Johnson.
I just have to find the attachment that was sent to me with the works. 2 seconds.
I'll just go back while Councillor Johnson is searching for that particular item. I'll go back to Councillor Powell on item 2. You have a question for us, Councillor Powell?
No, acting presiding member. I did have a question on number 1. A couple of questions on number 1, but unfortunately, either the hand didn't raise or it couldn't be seen.
Yeah, you can still go back and we'll take a question on C1. You've got the floor.
Look, there's just a couple of questions, general questions. In regard to the nominations, are there any of the people who've been included in the heritage list who have said that they don't want to be in the heritage area?
Anthony?
Thank you, and through you, presiding member. So during the nomination period, the city received 14 nominations. 12 of them were from landowners that own those properties, and other 2 were received from other people other than the landowners. We wrote to the landowners on 2 occasions of those 2 properties, and we never received a response. I guess if council does resolve to advertise this next week, then they'll have a chance to formally comment through that process.
Does that...
Just as a follow-up, just as a follow-up, if I may, through you, presiding member, there is a graph. I'm sorry, I haven't got, because I'm using the laptop that I would normally use by agenda. I'm using it for the Zoom meeting. I'm having to go by memory. There was a graph of what the different levels mean as far as what people can do. Look, being in a heritage area or on the heritage list, what does that mean as far as people being able to refurbish, rebuild, or extend their homes? Does it have any effect?
Thank you, and through you, presiding member. So this particular item is for a local heritage survey. So that's through the Heritage Act. It's not a planning instrument as you would ordinarily hear us referring to a heritage listing or a heritage area. So a local heritage survey, if it's in a list or area as outlined in the report, it has no bearing on development potential unless it's already within a heritage area or heritage list under the Planning and Development Act, which is a separate process.
No further questions, Councillor Pell?
And I suppose that also answers my last... Sorry, it sounds a bit choppy. Yes, I suppose that really answers my last question, that this won't have any real bearing then on the new planning laws that are coming in, and whether development applications in heritage areas may still come before council. I presume then that this is, as a survey, it still won't have any effect on whether council is reviewing building applications in heritage areas.
Thank you, and through you, presiding member. So that's correct. So it's a completely separate legislative instrument. So there's heritage areas and heritage lists under the local heritage surveys under the Heritage Act, and then separately under the Planning and Development Act. It has no bearing on the matter you're referring to.
Thank you.
Right, I believe we're due to go back to Councillor Johnson. Did you have a question?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Councillor Kosovic. I'm just wanting to clarify with the works that are slated for the drainage. What exactly, where is that list of works? Where do I find that? Thank you.
Director of Technical Services.
Thank you, and for you, presiding member. So probably the best reference for planned drainage works would be an attachment to a previous report, which is actually referenced in this report, which was done in June 2022. So that report was solely on a forward works program for our drainage, and obviously had an agreed level of service. So that's probably the best reference I would point councillors to as far as upcoming works that we've got envisaged for the next few years that would be delivered through this contract. So maybe just to add to that, and obviously it's still each subject to annual budget adoption. So we would obviously take projects from that forward works program for council's adoption each subsequent budget.
Okay, thank you. And just to clarify then, that's that attachment that was sent to me by email last week, and the items that were slated for financial year 22-23 are all done except for the last one at 3 Station Street. So it would be the remainder of that one plus the rest.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so if I could just add, through each budget session, we provide the upcoming that we recommend, and that forms part of that. But council is only, under the Local Government Act, able to adopt a budget for 1 year. So even though a previous report articulated those, it's actually up to council each year in June to determine how much of that is done each year, if that makes sense. But this contract is for this work to be done, assuming council adopt the budget.
No further questions for C3? Councillor Burns?
Councillors, through you, as you see fit, just on page 15, which is the description of the criteria, and I'm not by any means questioning it, but could staff give me, perhaps it's just always, these percentages, but the percentages relating to relevant experience, skills and experience of key personnel, et cetera, are the numeric standard, and mainly, I don't, it's, I'm trying to find the balance in it, I suppose. I don't see a lot of difference between relevant experience and skills of experience of key personnel, but that's 60% of it. Obviously an experience is important. Could I just have some clarity on this? Is it a local government? Is that the way its standards are? And whatever you like to, and thank you.
Thank you, and for you, presiding member. So these are fairly routine categories that we try and break down our qualitative criteria into. So for works of this nature, obviously relevant experience in the view of the assessment panel was seen as probably the most relevant criteria to assess on. And that's really looking as far as the history and the suitability and how well works have been undertaken, similar to what we're asking through this tender. And then obviously we've got other categories as well. Really that's a determination by the assessment panel that they developed prior to the issuance of the tender, and obviously it's going to be dependent on each subsequent tender as far as which is more relevant. Some may be in for some may not be required for others, but that's what's been used for this tender in this instance.
Thank you, presiding member. I appreciate the answer and I understand it. I don't know, maybe it's just my reading into it. I can't see why relevant experience and skills and experience of key personality are two groups. Does it mean... So relevant experience, respondents to describe experience in completing and supplying things, but wouldn't that just form under the abilities of the skills of and experience of the key personality? Isn't that really just one thing? And that maybe it still deserves 60 percentage points, but I don't see maybe it's just me. I just can't see a difference between the two. But again, as you said, it's standardised generally. So, but if you just give me more clarity, and I do ask this because we're heading down the road of something I don't need to mention, but I'm just trying to learn more about how we do it. The CEO seems to be nodding that I need experience, or I just have. Please, if you could carry on.
Okay, thank you, and through you, presiding member. So maybe just to give a bit of clarity. So probably the delineations between, for relevant experience, is really talking about the company's experience, which is obviously not necessarily dependent on the staff that are part of it. And then obviously, then it's also asking for provision of staff that would be apportioned to deliver this contract. So to give you an example, there may be a company that has maybe 5 years of experience in this field, but they might not have the same staff that are actually going to be delivering the works anymore. So it's that delineation between the experience of the organization or the company in this case and the staff that actually will be performing the works, which can be different because people can change at these relevant businesses.
So really it's a protection against if you met criteria relevance of experience, but the company was sold out last week to somebody that had no experience, then you could do very well at the top of it because the company does, but it was just bought by somebody that is new to the industry. They've just acquired it. Is that where I'm finding? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, that's the kind of scenarios that this would cover, just to deal with both aspects.
And perhaps if I could just add, people could leave, so they could have a really good experienced organisation, and then all of them staff have gone to the opposition or something like that. The most important thing about a tender is whatever you advertise that people know is what you evaluate on. That's the most important bit. So whatever you've gone out to advertise for, those people know these are the criteria that you're going to be assessed, and then that's the assessment should be done according to what we advertised for them to put in for. That's the key bit. So that's why the issue that you're probably referring to, it's critical that you get that wording right before you advertise to invite tenders.
Councillor Johnson.
Thank you. Through you, presiding member, just on that last note, with the tenders, I'm presuming that they are sending in the CVs of their key personnel so that you're assessing that with names of the people that are assigned.
Whoops.
Director of Technical Services.
Jumped the gun there, presiding member. So you're quite right. That's the kind of details that we'd ask for, relevance CVs and any documentation for relevant qualifications and other certifications that would require relevant to the contract.
Any further questions? Okay, meeting will be closed to the public after this. Sorry? C4. Oh, sorry. That's right. Apologies. Item C4, financial statements and reports for the month ending 31 March 2024. Are there any questions? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, presiding member. Actually, I do have a question, but I was going to look at this in a bit of detail myself, and I haven't in the detail I was wanting to. But I was just looking at the amount of the spend on recruitment, agency spend, labour hire combined. And I wonder if anyone's got a figure on that per month and whether the last month is an average. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'll have a look at the attachment if you like. So what you're asking is whether the last month is reflective of the average over the last 12 months. I think what you find in the report as well is that the report includes year to date, and so it should include the figures for the whole financial year that we've incurred to date as well. So, but I might just turn this off and have a look at the attachment. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
I might just quickly add, it does vary because it depends on vacancies and all those types of things. And so in some areas, it certainly fluctuates depending upon the economic climate, etc. So it does vary month to month, but sometimes there's consistency over a period of time just because it does, what we found, recruiting people takes a lot longer at the moment than what ordinarily it previously has done, and we quite often need to get the work done. So labour hire assists in that regard.
Yeah, I might have to take the question on notice because I'm not sure that we've actually got that figure in the reports. But if there was somewhere in the reports that you were looking at that you had a particular query about, or if you just had a general inquiry about we might not have that detail in the reports, maybe we can just take it on notice and clarify it with you further as well.
Yeah, look, I just from sort of a quick scan of it thought that, I wouldn't mind knowing what the total is to Hayes in particular, I guess. Michael Page is mentioned, program skilled workforce is mentioned.
Yes, so that would be in the payments. So I couldn't tell you off the top of my head without looking at the numbers further whether that was a average reflective of what we'd have over the course of the year. But I can tell you, kind of reiterating the CEO's comments, that sometimes we do need to fill positions with agency support. It can also be, sometimes it's because we have a vacancy, or sometimes it's because that particular role is better suited to be filled by an agency. For example, if it's a short-term need that's specialist in nature, then sometimes going to an agency can be the best option. But I can get back to you in terms of whether that is reflective of the average, if that would assist.
Yeah, thanks. I hadn't formulated my question fully, but I just sort of noticed the figure, and 70,000 in 1 month to one agency seems quite high. That's sort of what it looked like to me, and I just wanted a bit more clarity around where that spend was going specifically. Thanks. You can take that on notice. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any more questions? That brings the agenda briefing forum to a close. Please note that there is a confidential item that will be discussed with elected members following this meeting. This item may be required to go behind closed doors at the Ordinary Council meeting next week in accordance with Section 5.23 of the Local Government Act 1995. So I will close the meeting at this point and ask the media to leave. Thank you, Lloyd.